For more than 2 decades, Gary Lineker was the face of football coverage on the BBC. Viewers grew accustomed to seeing him introduce the biggest matches, deliver expert analysis, and guide audiences through unforgettable football moments. But what happens when a broadcasting legend suddenly appears on a rival network? Well, that's exactly what happened during ITV's World Cup coverage, and it led to a hilarious on-air moment that nobody saw coming. A surprise appearance, a cheeky dig at the BBC, and a playful exchange with presenter Laura Woods instantly became one of the tournament's most talked-about television moments. Here's what happened. Gary Lineker made a shock appearance on ITV's coverage of the World Cup clash between Ivory Coast and Germany. The former Match of the Day host joined Laura Woods, Ian Wright, Gary Neville, and Duncan Ferguson in ITV's impressive New York studio. For football fans, the sight alone was surprising. After all, Lineker had spent 26 years as the BBC's main football presenter. His departure from the broadcaster came earlier than expected, making this appearance on a rival channel even more remarkable. While the BBC has based its World Cup coverage in Salford, ITV has been broadcasting from a spectacular studio in Brooklyn, offering breathtaking views of the Manhattan skyline. At the same time, Lineker has also been working in New York, presenting his Rest is Football podcast for Netflix. But nobody expected him to step directly into ITV's World Cup coverage. And when the broadcast began, things got even more interesting. In a nod to his long career hosting Match of the Day, Lineker kicked off the coverage himself. With a smile, he addressed viewers. "Thank you very much for joining us on ITV for this one. Another day, another game, another channel." It was a classic Lineker introduction. But before he could continue, Laura Woods jumped in. Whoa, Gary. That's my job." The studio burst into laughter. Lineker immediately fired back with the perfect response. "Sorry, old habits." The exchange instantly set the tone for the broadcast. It was lighthearted, natural, and a reminder of just how comfortable Lineker remains in front of the camera even when appearing on a completely different network. A subtle dig at the BBC? The playful moments didn't stop there. When asked what he had been doing in New York, Lineker explained that he had been filming a daily show for Netflix in Times Square. But then came a comment that caught viewers' attention. Praising ITV's impressive studio setup, Lineker said he had been eager to visit the set because it looked absolutely amazing. Then he added a cheeky observation. "And I can confirm that it's real." The remark appeared to be a subtle reference to the BBC's use of a green screen backdrop for its coverage from Salford. Looking around at the stunning Manhattan skyline behind ITV's panel, Lineker continued to admire the scenery. "What a backdrop." It was a small comment, but many viewers interpreted it as a playful jab at his former employer. Whether intentional or not, it certainly added another layer of intrigue to his surprise appearance. A reunion years in the making. The broadcast also marked a reunion between Lineker and Ian Wright. The pair spent years working together on Match of the Day and became one of football television's most familiar partnerships. Seeing them together again brought a sense of nostalgia for many fans. At the same time, Lineker found himself sharing the studio with Gary Neville, another major figure in football media. The appearance was particularly interesting given the growing rivalry between football podcasts. Earlier this month, Neville's Stick to Football team and Lineker's Rest is Football podcast had exchanged playful barbs. That rivalry even became a talking point during an episode of Lineker's own show. Lineker jokingly asked Micah Richards whether he had been involved in a disagreement with Jamie Carragher. He tried to pretend they've got the best football podcast? Richards responded with a laugh. Podcast wars, basically. The friendly competition has become part of modern football media culture, adding extra entertainment for fans beyond the matches themselves. The World Cup record connection. There was another reason Lineker's appearance carried special significance. Before this summer's tournament, he held England's all-time World Cup scoring record with 10 goals. But that record has now been matched. Harry Kane equaled Lineker's tally after scoring twice against Croatia. The moment was especially notable because cameras captured Lineker's reaction on his podcast as the milestone was reached. It was another reminder of the lasting impact he has had on English football, not just as a broadcaster but as one of the country's greatest World Cup performers. Gary Lineker's surprise move from BBC icon to ITV guest created one of the most memorable television moments of the World Cup so far. From accidentally taking over Laura Woods' introduction, to joking about old habits, to making a subtle comment about ITV's very real New York backdrop, Lineker showed exactly why he remains one of football broadcasting's biggest personalities. And while the football continues on the pitch, moments like these prove that some of the tournament's most entertaining drama can happen inside the studio. The question now is simple. Was Lineker's comment about the backdrop just harmless fun, or was it a cheeky message aimed at his former BBC home? Football fans will no doubt have their own opinions.